welcome back to Collins Productions Tutorials. Today we'll be making this effect. Let me go ahead and show you guys how this works. It goes like this.
Okay, so I'm gonna go.
I have to waste my energy.
Let's go. All right, okay.
As you can see, today we're focusing directly on the teleportation effect. This is a short film that I'm actually working on, and I'm pretty sure you guys will see it very soon, or if it's already uploaded, definitely check it out. It's called The Race. Check it out, just check it out. It's really cool. Basically, this effect that we're going to be working on is just the teleportation effect. I added a couple of elements to it to make it actually happen. But if you have actions essentials, actions essentials 2, you can be able to find these elements inside of it, or you can just download some of the Shockwave elements from a Video Copilot, and you should be able to have this nice thing that's going on in this video. Anyways, so the way this video kind of works and how it starts basically is you just basically need to make sure that you've shot like a clear background. You have a clear background, and at the same time you have your subject coming inside the scene. So let me go ahead and start this whole entire process over so that you guys can understand how I was able to put this together. So basically all you're doing is like I mentioned before, you have a clear background, and you have a clear background, and you have your subject walking into the background. So basically for my subject, right, he basically kind of like does a little bit of a cool effect where he kind of like moves his head or his hands just to make it seem as if he's appearing inside the shot. So basically I would just stop the frame exactly where he's kind of like doing this effect, and I would hit Control Shift D on my keyboard to split the layer. And then what I would do is duplicate this layer, right click it, and go to time, freeze frame. So when I go to freeze frame, move it just a little bit, Control Shift D again to cut the layer off, so we can have this nice frozen frame of my subject. And you can play with this as many times as you want, no matter whatever you want to do, you just play with this as many times as you want. So what I'm gonna do is, as you can see within this area, we can still see the subject kind of like coming into the scene. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and clear and make sure I capture the part where it's just an empty background. I capture that scene, and what I will do is I will grab and just move these scenes together. So just basically right click this area, select that area, and just drag the scenes right about right here. Sorry guys, I normally don't make tutorials, so I'm not really kind of like like familiar with a lot of different kinds of things. So most of the time when I'm speaking, I just say whatever. So but anyways, so as you can see, the subject is kind of frozen, and he's on a background, an empty background. So it looks like this. If I was to play it, it looks like he just pops up, pop, and then he continues with the effect. So what I'll do is then I'll grab the pen tool, select the layer with the subject in. You can even rename it to subject. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to select the subject layer, go to the pen tool, and then draw a rough mask. You can zoom in to even help you out. Draw a rough mask around the character, and draw a nice rough mask around him. And just make sure you just kind of just try to grab all sides. Right now I put the quality on quarter, but I'm gonna put it on full to see it better. Normally when I edit, I always put my quality on quarter, because if you put it on quarter, you can actually edit much more faster than to put it on full, because sometimes when you place it on full, it takes a lot of time to be able to render and process the whole entire thing. I'm pretty sure most of you guys already know how this works. Basically this tutorial is for people who are a little bit advanced in After Effects or intermediate, or if you're a beginner, most of the basic tricks and stuff like that, you can pull this effect off. There are plenty of other videos on YouTube that can teach you how to do this, but for me today I'm kind of teaching you a little bit of my version. So yeah, just go ahead and draw a rough mask around the character. Now as you can see, you have this nice character. You can move this character anywhere and understand, what I'm saying, because you've drawn a mask around him. He can become big, moving him up there. Now he looks like he's a big guy, or you just move him, like you can just move him anywhere. So that's what we just basically did. We drew a rough mask around the subject. Now what you're gonna do is move towards, like, make sure that the frames, the length of this is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 4 different frames long. So that way you can be able to pull this effect off really, really nice. So what you're doing basically is you're grabbing the you're gonna go up here and you're gonna hit on the puppet tool. You hit on the puppet pin tool and you go ahead and draw a couple of pins on the different areas of the subject's body. So basically just basically the joints. That's what I like doing. And after that, because the puppet pin tool basically has this it's already keyframed, so all you gotta do is move the frames all the way back. Move your time cursor all the way back, and then, you know, like minimize your actor or your subject. Just make him small to give him the effect where it's like, you know, he's kind of like swirling into the scene. I don't know if that I'm using the right words, but yeah, you're doing something like this, and basically like that. And so if you play it, it looks like he's moving right back to normal and stuff like that. So what happens is, right now, what you're gonna do is, after you're doing this, what you're gonna do is this. You're gonna go ahead and hit on motion blur. If this motion blur is already off, hit on enable motion blur, hit on it, and then go ahead and come back to the subject layer and hit on motion blur too. So you have this nice, if that makes sense. So it looks like that. I'm just adding a couple of sound effects to it just to give it the effect. But it still doesn't look all good. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and move the cursor, the time indicator right here. Hit on S to bring out the scale properties. Hit on scale and then move all the way back to the beginning. But before you do that, actually, you see this anchor point? I like using the anchor point because sometimes you want the effect to look good. So bring the anchor point all the way down. So in order for you to do the anchor point, let me show you guys how to do it real quick. You go right here, you click on this pan behind, this is the anchor point tool. You click on it, you click on the subject layer, and then you can be able to move the anchor point. And move the anchor point to like where your subject, if you want your subject to teleport from upwards or downwards or below, it doesn't matter. But for me, I want my subject to kind of teleport from downwards coming up. So I move the anchor point to the bottom, and then we come back to the scale area, and then we move the time cursor a little bit far back, and then we scale the property so it gives it the effect where the subject is basically going from, so it looks like he's coming up, you know what I'm saying, from the ground, if that makes sense. If you want to make the effect a little bit longer, you can stretch out the time frame thingy and move this thing a little bit further, so you have this swirly kind of effect. You can even make the scale, you don't even have to make it too small. You can make it about this size. It doesn't matter how you do it. It's just a matter of bringing the subject into scene. So my subject is basically teleporting and sitting down. Let's move on. So, guys, I don't want to make this tutorial too long, so, you know, I'm just going to try to, like, speed this up as much as I can. But anyways, on the other hand, one thing I want to say is that you want to be able to save your project every time you're doing it, because it helps you, you know, to make sure you save all your projects. So make sure you save your projects as well, too. So as you can see, we have this cool effect of my subject appearing into the scene. So now I'm going to add a couple of elements to it. So now what I'll do is I will bring this, what's it called? Like I said, if you have Action Essentials VFX pack, you can be able to use this VFX pack to, you know, do it. But I'll see if I can try to upload the VFX so you can be able to download it and be able to use it for yourself. So most of them I pre-custom made them myself, or I use other people's ones and I kind of combine it together to create a different kind of effect. That's what I use for my videos and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this charge into scene. And as you can see, this is like the sparks. You know what I'm saying? These are like the sparks that you can use some of the sparks. But me personally, I don't think I use this spark. I would use this this powder hit. If you have Actions Essentials, you can be able to see this powder hit effect. But I use this powder hit effect. What you will do is you will drag into the scene. You go ahead and change the blend mode to screen. You change the blend mode to screen, and what's gonna happen is, as you can see, it's like basically the character pops up in the scene, if that makes sense. So you can even bring the sparkler just a little bit down, and you can do something cool with that. You know, it's like he appears inside the scene, if that makes sense. But to make the effect even cool, what you can do is you can speed it up a little bit better. Sometimes some people like the effects a little bit sped up, so you can speed it up a little bit more. So you can speed up the powder hit. Maybe change it to 50 seconds, and you can have this cool fast look. See? So now it looks like this. Awesome. So now, what's going to happen next is, since we added this effect, we're going to add a little bit of the shockwave elements. You add a couple of shockwave elements to it. But you see the shockwave, if you import the shockwave, it has this black extra background behind it. So you're going to change the blend mode to screen. You change the blend mode to screen, hit scale, lower down the scale a little bit. And for me, since it's an effect where he's kind of like appearing into the scene, so what we're going to do is I'm going to do something with the time. I'm going to speed this thing up a little bit. Hit right click, hit time, go to time stretch, and go ahead and drop it down to maybe like 30 to speed it up a little bit, you know. But it looks like he's still going a little bit too faster than the shockwave. So we want the shockwave to have the effect where it's going a little bit much more faster. So I'm going to change it to 20. And again, this tutorial is for people who are more advanced in this kind of field. So those who understand After Effects to the next level, they can be able to put this off. But what I would do to this scene is I would probably reverse the shockwave. So I hit the wrong one. Hold on. Let me go ahead and hit reverse it. Time, enable. Oh, wrong one again. I'm gonna go ahead and reverse this. There we go. So now we can have this nice, cool reversal look. So as he's appearing in the scene, the shockwave is also coming in the scene. Like this. Hold on. I have this actor coming in the scene. Give me a second. Let me go ahead and if you guys can see this. I don't know what's going on with my scenes. It's acting weird. Something is going on. I don't know what's going on with this. Let me do something with this. I don't know. But anyways, guys, just ignore this part. There we go. Now you have the character coming into the scene, coming in and out. As you can see, you know, it's still, it looks like, you see how it is? So you have the shockwave appearing first, and then you have the character popping up in the scene, and then the shockwave kind of like disappearing. But the shockwave kind of looks too harsh, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and hit T for opacity and lower down the opacity as it's kind of like going down, so that it doesn't look too harsh out. You want it to kind of like have this kind of blending look. So I understand what I'm trying to say. And what I'll do next is add a couple of sparks just to give it a nice look, you know. Sometimes you just want to add a little bit of sparks, give it a nice look. Let's see, I think these are colorful sparks, and I'm gonna bring this into the scene. Oh, this is something completely different. Let's see, slow sparks. There we go. It's inside the video elements. If you go to Actions Essentials, you buy the whole entire pack, you should be able to have this element in the scene. So, and I'm just gonna bring this into the scene. There we go. So I'll grab this. Oh no, I normally kind of like move it up here because this is where you see the full effect. So I move it up here, Control Shift D, cut it, and then come right here, change the blend mode to screen. Change the blend mode to screen. You can bring it right about where the actor actually appears. So where the actor actually appears is where you kind of like apply the effect. So you have this boom. You understand what I'm trying to say? So you have this, all these effects are coming together as one, you know, and just, it looks natural, looks raw. You can even, if you don't like the shockwave, you can always take it out, like, or you can even adjust the settings. Just change it up to whatever you want. So you have this nice powdery, you know, kind of like, you know, fuzzy kind of look. So it doesn't look too, you know, fake. It looks a little bit kind of real, you know. Yeah, but most people, when they do these kinds of things, they like using distortion and some turbulence to kind of create this kind of effect. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna apply some sound effects. I have a couple of different kinds of sound effects, but you can download this from YouTube and just, you know, play around with it. But me, I like using different kinds of sound effects, and I purchased them from different angles. So we're gonna go ahead and listen to some of it. Yeah, some of these sound effects is what I use for my video. There we go. I like to capture that area, and I'm gonna bring that right here. Again, this tutorial is for those who are advanced and who understand After Effects to its core. So most of the things I'm saying in this video is not for beginners. It's for like people that are intermediate, if that makes sense. So you come here and you apply this this thing right here. Let me go ahead and do this. You put the effects right there. So now it sits, it matches, it sounds awesome. So when somebody plays it, see what I'm saying? Or you can even do something with the effects, because if with the sound effects, sometimes what I would do is I would come over here and just right at the part where the character comes into play, what I would do is I would duplicate the sound effects, go ahead and reverse it, and what I would do is I would kind of like reverse the video like right around here, so that we have this kind of like extra sound. So when it comes like this, so it blends in, if that makes sense. So it's like the sound is kind of gradually lifting up, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like progressing, as you know. It's not like it's not just, you know, boom and the character comes in the scene. The sound comes first. You have this extra background sound that is kind of leading up to the character coming in. So people are like, oh, what's going to happen? And he appears out of nowhere, if that makes sense. There you go. So guys, that will be the effect for today. But this part, I added a couple of camera shakes to it just to give it that nice look.
All right,
It's really good.
all right, Mark. I'm gonna go.
If you add camera shake, it really looks really good. This tutorial helped you guys out a little bit. My name is Collins. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you guys.